Mohamed Salah is staying at the club after months of speculation about will he stay or will he go, should he stay or should he go. The ink is dry on the contract. He signs until 2027, and he will be remaining at Anfield. Obviously, this is a massive day for Liverpool, a day for Mohamed Salah. Just for the fabric of what he means for the community of Liverpool and the club, I think it's a massive day. But from a footballing perspective, I think Liverpool had to have this, because you take away Mohamed Salah this season, and Liverpool are nowhere near the top of the Premier League where they are now. So I think that this is a historic day, but also a very important day for the future of the footballing of this club.
No question. And I think this is one where, and I was reading today, The Athletic was reporting on how the ownership needed to be convinced of this, because they do have rules, and the rules generally are no multi-year extensions for players over 30. And that is just the way that a lot of clubs, particularly at top level, operate. And he is an exception. He is an exception that proves the rule. He is, as you see there, first player on 25 and 15 in a Premier League season, and he has delivered, as you say, the title this season. But it is still an exception to make for a player who I think deserves it. I think there might be a time where they will regret this extension, maybe towards the end of this, but I think for a fan, and I understand you're a Liverpool fan, a lot of Liverpool fans work on this show, I think there is just that feeling of the Bill Belichick rule of the New England Patriots of you want to be a year early before you're a year late. There's some players to whom you want to be a year late, and Mo Salah is one of them. And as long as he is performing, which he did this season, he performed this season at an incredibly high level, at a potentially Ballon d'Or winning level, you have to give him the opportunity to kind of decline on Liverpool's watch. And I think that's, if it's going to happen over these next 2 years, it's something that the fans will be okay with, because ultimately you have to keep this player on. This is a bedrock player of one of the best Liverpool eras, and one of the eras in which the fans have most gotten behind the team and loved their style of play, loved how they went about their football. And so I think you have to get this done. And I am a little bit surprised that they did. I really thought there was a period around December, January time, he was giving his quotes to the media that it was going to go one way, and it was maybe elsewhere. But for Liverpool fans, I think this is an amazing day.
Yeah, it was definitely a little messy there. It got messy when he started going out in the media and having those conversations and saying those kind of cryptic quotes. But you said it. There has to be an exception to that rule for players, generational players. And what Mohamed Salah has done during his time at Liverpool can only be described as generational. And what I've been saying, and I've said it on this show multiple times, if you take Mohamed Salah off this team, okay, let me go back. This team, they're going to likely win the Premier League, but they crashed out of the Champions League, crashed out of the Cups. There are some structural issues with this squad. If you choose to let Mohamed Salah walk, maybe Virgil van Dijk as well, if you choose to let them walk, you are rebuilding your entire team.
Yes.
If you keep Mohamed Salah in the fold, you only need to retool this team and make some changes around, maybe bring in a solid number 9, bring in a replacement for Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is likely on his way to Real Madrid. So I do believe that massive difference, it really did kind of hang in the balance if this Liverpool era would continue if he were to leave, because you do have some holes that you need to fill. Now you don't have a Mohamed Salah size hole to fill, at least for the next season. And again, it's only a deal till 2027. So maybe the last year gets a little tricky for Liverpool as far as his decline, but you have to let it happen when you have a player that has been that good for so long and delivered all of the trophies that he has to Liverpool.
And that's a really great point, because let's be honest, how they found Mo Salah in the first place as a player who went to Chelsea, then went to Italy, was good at Roma, and then you bought him, and all of a sudden you bought low on a player that clearly had some talent, but I think the level of production that he has provided is beyond your wildest dreams. To go and do that again in this era, when everyone's looking for that kind of player, unless you're willing to pay $100 million to go and do it, that's going to be really difficult, and that is the job now. You've got Mo Salah locked down for your next 2 years. You've got to find the next one in the next 2 years. And it's you're digging around in markets that are difficult to break through in. You see your generational talents, your Florian Wirtzes, your Kavica Kvaratskhelia, and you try and project and see if you can do that. They've got to go find somebody like that over the course of the next 2 years to fill this gap, because you don't want to be here again. Luis Diaz, good player. He's not that level. He's not that level. And as you say, you don't have a player at that club. And you eventually will have to figure out with Van Dijk as well. And that's another one that's incredibly difficult because Virgil van Dijk, finding a player like that at Southampton, who's generational, who's I can put him in the middle of my back four and we're good. Like that's a £100 million center back now. So to go and find these guys is going to be incredibly difficult. It's why you had to keep them at the very least for the near term. But the goal now, I think you've, as you say, built around them. You've retooled the squad in the last few years, but you've got to be ready with your new Salah, Mane, Firmino, with your new Virgil van Dijk, with your new Trent Alexander-Arnold. However it is you go about it, it is now time to find those foundational pieces in the next 2 years, and it's going to require either a lot of money or an incredible scouting job.
Where does Mohamed Salah rank in the all-time greats at Liverpool?
I think by the time he serves out this contract, he'll have been at the club for 10 years. I think right now, 8 years doesn't feel like enough, even though he has embarked on some incredible achievements when you look at winning the Premier League now twice when they had not won until 2020 in the Premier League era, as it were. And so for him to have done those things is remarkable. The level of performance is remarkable. But you get into the conversations with the Ian Rushes, the John Barnes, the Kenny Dalglish, when you do things like this over a prolonged period of time. And you see these figures, it's just a level of production that's incomprehensible, especially for a wide player. Erling Haaland scored 25 goals and provided some assists. You would kind of, but this is a wide player who comes inside and does this level of work. So for me, when you start to accumulate these numbers, you accumulate the games played, you accumulate the years, and you accumulate the trophies, that's when you get into all-time legend status. And I think certainly in the modern era, there's no question. I have a little bit of hesitation to say. I wasn't around in the Dalglish era. I wasn't around in the 80s when Liverpool were the dominant side in English football. I don't want to tell those fans that their memories or what they think of those players is less than what happens today, because I'm not in a position to do that. But in terms of best level, top level, you can easily make an argument that Mo Salah is the best player. Has he achieved the most? That happens over time, and you earn that legendary status by being a one-club man or being a man that is there for at least 10 years. And by the end of this contract, he will have done that, and then we can have that conversation.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we could debate this forever about whether he is the best or, you know, Ian Rush and Dalglish and all these guys. Competition wasn't as good as it was. Maybe it is recency bias by us that weren't around in those times either. But the difference of competition, I think, does give Mohamed Salah that edge. And let's see what happens in the next couple of years as well. If he continues to win trophies, then you have to put him on that up there as one of the best or the best ever.